we're going to talk about insights from our head of IT, Nikesh, on how he uses Cledara to secure our stack of software, some practical strategies for safeguarding your tech assets, and we're going to end up with some Q&A. So you can start asking your questions while Nikesh is talking, if it's something that you would like to know. And at the end of the session, we're going to take your questions. So we can start with the questions. Bryn, if you can start asking your questions.
Yes, thank you so much for the handover. And again, so excited to have Nikesh, the expert here. So Nikesh, I'm going to start firing away, if that's all right with you.
Shoot, go ahead.
Great. Okay, so in today's dynamic tech landscape, what emerging security trends or threats do you find most concerning for businesses, and how can we prepare for those?
There's a keyword, there's a magic word going around at the moment, which is AI. The recent uptick in kind of apps that people are trying to use, people start with ChatGPT, but there's an AI for everything now. And with us sitting in IT and teams that I speak to sort of around different businesses, everyone's trying to do something new. Everyone's signing up to something new. And trying to get a handle of all of our data being shared across the internet is the thing that we're firefighting right now. And so for this, it comes under one category for us at Cledara. It's informal SaaS, kind of also known as shadow IT. So our concern is a data leak, using apps that aren't authorized, and we need to make sure it's handled.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit more about what shadow IT is for those of us who might not be as familiar?
Yeah, sure. So simply put, it's kind of using any software that isn't on your company stack. So something that we haven't put through our security processes, hasn't been approved by finance, and kind of connects to, you could be your Google Workspace, could be your Slack, whatever it is. There's a kind of well-known saying, if it's free, then generally you are the data. And we just need to make sure that the software that we use and approve only utilizes the access that we let it have, rather than access to everything, which generally what AI does. And then kind of looking at ways of how we might combat this, or looking at, how we might coerce people not to just sign up for things, is make a clear approval process, and we can cover that later in the call. Making sure that you have good vendor compliance. They use a password manager, make sure people sign up to things securely. And yeah, to kind of make sure that whatever you do and whatever you kind of put in place helps your teams explore and solve their problems, but not just sign up for loads of free things.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, lots of different factors to think about there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, can you tell us a little bit more or elaborate on how you would integrate Cledara specifically into your security strategy?
Yeah, so it forms quite an important part of our kind of overall security at Cledara. The first thing we look at, or the first part that I would recommend kind of anyone to use, is Engage. That's our Chrome extension. And essentially it shows us the usage of all of the software that our teams use across the internet. So if we've approved it, they will show on our, here we go. Yeah, so if we've approved it, it will show in the providers page, but right now what we're looking at is our informal SaaS page, so we can just carry on from where we were before. And we're looking here at things like, you can see at the top, Grafana, Todoist, Intercom. These are pieces of software, and we only look at the SaaS logins. So these are pieces of software that the team are using that we haven't got in our SaaS stack. So if I was to take Todoist as an example, which is what Sarah seems to be using, she's used it 8 times in the last 30 days. I can see what app it is. I can see who's using it and when it was first detected. And from this, I can pick up like trends, who's using what, how are they using it. And sometimes it's just as simple as having a conversation and saying, hey, do you need this for work? Are you using it? Is it, what is it for? And where everyone's open with their laptops now, people can log into their personal things if they wanted to, and it's just training them to do the right things. We're not draconian, so you can't expect people to be very corporate. And we look at kind of an example of what we picked up recently is the marketing team started using Asana, and then I noticed that, hey, over a few days, 3, 4, 5 people were logging into this new app, and it wasn't part of our software stack. So it's just a quick call to our head of marketing, and I asked her, hey, are we using Asana now? She said, yeah, we're using it for a trial. And it was just a free account. We weren't spending any money on it. So it didn't really go through our purchase process because they just wanted to test it out for one of their sprints. And I was like, yep, no problem. I'm just going to add it to our software stack. So I added it to our applications. It cleared out the informal SaaS, and I was able to run our security checks before they fully moved over onto the platform and started paying for it. So that's kind of an example of how Engage has helped me.
Nice.
Where else would I use it? We use it ahead of renewal notifications. So all of our apps, whenever we sign sort of multi-year deals or annual deals, we can put in a reminder in the subscription details, and it will tell me to, I can check on renewals. But when I get that, I don't just check the price and, say, okay, hey, we had 50 seats last year, we'll get the same again this year. If we have 50 seats, I'm going to go to Engage and see how many people are using it, how many people have logged in over the last 30, 60, 90 days, and make sure we are spending the money we actually need. So not only does it affect IT, we reduce our software spend as much as possible, as businesses need to do in nowadays. We can't just waste money. And then back on the AI front, back in informal SaaS, any tool that people sign up to and start logging into will pick up, as long as it's SaaS. So we don't pick up things like Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff, but we will pick up any AI tools that come abroad. We have, thanks to our support and success teams, probably the biggest database of software in the world. And we can then say, okay, what are these AI tools? I'll quickly go and check them out to see what they're doing, and then say yes or no based on the request that comes into us. But it's all part of training. The team has to know what to do, and not just the IT team, the whole office.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just Engage. Other features that I use, approval flows. So we make sure that any application that is likely to spend any money, normally you'd go to your finance manager and say, oh, hey, can I have 50 quid a month for this? We've just built that into Cledara. So anytime you need to buy some software, it needs to be approved by an admin or a team manager. We also have dual approvals for certain things. So anything, I think finance have set like £100 for now, but it can be anything you want it to be. So we make sure that any large spend that's going to sort of impact our cash flow or our balances gets a second eye, and that's normally the CFO that will sign that off. We also use it for access management. So if you wanted to request a tool, you'd go in to say, okay, oh, hey, can I have a seat on, I don't know, pick something. Oh, you want an Adobe seat, and you can just send an access request. That's tracked. It's all logged in Cledara. The person who is the application owner will get the request, and they can just say, yes, we can approve a seat. They'll go in and buy a seat in Adobe. Obviously, the charge goes through Cledara, so the card details are already saved there, and they'd approve that seat. All of those audited and logged, and I can download them for our SOC 2 audit whenever I need. And coming soon, we have a brand new feature, which is going to be onboarding and offboarding. So you'll be able to link directly to your HRIS. So we're going to start with Bamboo, and we'll probably sort of integrate other HR systems as we roll out. And then whenever someone joins, I'll get an alert to say, oh, hey, someone's joining. Here's all the software that they need, because we track all the software by team, and I can go and quickly sign them up to everything they need. And on their first day, they have access to everything they want. So more on that later as well. I also put all of our compliance in. So we have a compliance module, and I've set all the questions that need to be answered when we buy things. So, you know, we need to see their contract. Finance need to see a pro forma invoice. We want to make sure they're like SOC 2 certified. And yeah, so everything gets filled in at the time of asking, and you can set certain questions to be at the time of purchase, and the rest of the compliance part can be done later. Or you can set it so, you know, none of the compliance is done at the start, which I wouldn't recommend. And all of our risky software, and when I say risky, is that if it goes down, it affects the business. We run a risk assessment on and make sure if it is over a certain threshold, which we can customize, we have an exit plan. So, you know, if, I don't know, your CRM goes down, do you know what you're going to do afterwards? You make sure you have a plan for that afterwards. So a bit of risk management and a bit of compliance and security comes into this. And yeah, as I said before, make sure you set renewals on things. So the renewals feature is really handy for us in every app. And we just don't want to get caught paying for something. We've seen it so many times where people get sort of tied into things. Screen showing here. Yes, the compliance management screen. So anything that you're running compliance on, you can see on a management overview, and sort of export anything you need as well from here and give to your auditors if you need to do so. That table will export everything that you need, and the details just a summary page.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that rundown. I think what was nice to hear is, you know, the question was focused on security and security within Cledara, but a lot of those things seem to be like budget-friendly tools as well. So they kind of have a double use, which is great, and hopefully helps out some of our attendees.
Yeah. I need to keep the finance team a bit happy.
Love that. For the next question, so as it relates to shadow IT, what can we do there aside from monitoring? What else can be done?
Yeah, so I mean, most people think, you know, shadow IT is done on purpose. Most of the time that I've seen, it's not intentional. Employees kind of, you know, everyone's got their jobs to do. You're in success, people are in support or sales or whatever it is. They've all got their jobs to do, and they just need to make their lives a bit easier. So if they can sign up to something just with Google and say, oh, hey, this makes my life a bit easier. Oh, here's a to-do list. Here's this that I can use. It's quite easy to do so. And they just want to streamline their own processes. And they kind of overlook what you're supposed to do just because of the time it takes and kind of, you know, red tape. But we're trying to get out of that. So we make it really easy to seek an approval in Cledara to buy something. You literally just have to put in the name of the application, how much it costs, and how often you're going to pay for it, and then just say, can I buy it? It'll alert us. We'll get an email straight away to say, hey, someone wants this software. It will take me 5-10 minutes to look at, and we can make a quick decision about it. So make it easy to get authorization from your IT teams or your finance teams, or whoever controls your instance in Cledara. Make that process easy and communicate it to your teams. So we use Slack for communication internally. You can find anything you need in there, or people just message and ask if they can do something. So don't make it take too long to implement new tools. Guide people in the right direction. And when you're buying big tools, quite often I see is, leadership people make a decision, but then once you've bought something, you have to get the users to use it. And if humans are kind of like set in their ways, they're not really going to change anything easily. So convincing people and getting them involved kind of helps along the purchase route, and making sure you have a trial. So even if you have to sign up for a trial, for example, you can sign up with like a £1 card on Cledara. And then as soon as the trial's over, just cancel the card and that's your subscription done. So you don't have to forget about that either. But team members want to work more efficiently, and they need to do it as soon as possible. So just making it easy for them will help you reduce that shadow IT part. You kind of want to make sure that you implement things you need to authorize things and propose whatever it is, but speak to the teams that are using software. Like I spoke to marketing and said, hey, are you using this? That's fine. I'm not here to block it. I just want to make sure you get what you need and all of your data is safe. And the last thing you want is, someone leaking any information that belongs to your company all over the internet. Have communication channels. We have Slack. Other people might have Teams or, I don't know, Google Chat, Google Meet, whatever it's called. But yeah, speak to people and don't just send out memos and things. And the other thing I do is like SaaS audits. Part of SOC 2 and other compliance kind of things are making sure you do a regular access review and making sure the people who have seats on them still need them. And even though we have Cledara managing our seats and making sure that manual kind of oversight will always make a difference. And I just make sure that all the software we pay for, we are actually using. And if we're not using it, it's just a conversation. And don't be afraid to have that if you're the IT person or the finance person in charge.
Yeah, love that. I think I can speak for everyone when I say I'm a big fan of more communication, less memos. So thanks for pointing that out. So at this point, those were all the questions that I had prepared. You're acing the test so far, Nikesh.
Thank you.
But we are going to open it up to questions from everyone in the room. So I will pass it over to Mariana. She's going to manage those as they come in.
Thank you, Bren. So let's see the questions that we got until now. So feel free to continue writing your questions. So Nikesh, the first one, we were thinking on implementing compliance, but one of the things I'm worried is that the person creating the application is not the one that should answer the questions, and this will complicate the process. Is there a way for another person, internal or external of the organization, to answer those questions?
Yeah, well, as of last week, yes. We launched a feature that's part of compliance called Delegate. So if you haven't tried it till now, apologies, but if you try it from now, you'll be able to see that we have Delegate, and it's simply click on the sections that you need someone to answer, and we will send them an email with a link to answer the questions. You'll then get a chance to review them and either accept, edit, or reject their answers. And you can send different sections to different people. So if your risk assessment is with your risk management team, you can send it to them. If your sort of product information or your vendor information needs to come from the vendor, you can send it directly to them as well. So in short, yes, you can send it to anyone you need to.
Thank you. Another one, we are using G Suite and have just deployed AutoEngage. But we realize we don't track all the usage from the rest of the team that is using different browsers, like Safari and Mozilla, sorry. Is there a way for this usage to be tracked in Cledara?
Yeah, well, AutoEngage works with Chrome, and that's just the way the browser's built. But you can deploy Engage to Safari. So we have submitted our app and had it approved by Apple into the App Store. And that can be rolled out like any other Safari extension through your mobile device management tool, or can be downloaded directly from the App Store. We have a Mozilla extension in the Firefox store, and you can also use it on Edge and quite a few other, I guess, Chromium-based browsers. But the most popular ones we've covered, so Chrome, Edge, Safari, Firefox, which I think is rebranding to Mozilla soon.
Okay, thank you. Another question, how does Cledara help with keeping your SOC 2 Type 2 in check?
So yeah, as we're growing, we use a number of tools to keep our SOC 2 in check. Cledara is one of the main ones. So we fill out all the initial compliance requirements, and I've customized that to what we need for what SOC 2 needs in there. We use it for access reviews. We use it to make sure people are to evidence that people are using the software that they need. Trying to think what else there is. Engage data definitely helps. The request access logs help. So there's lots of different elements. Obviously, SOC 2 covers the entire business. So we look at, it covers our software use as a part of it, and anything that relates to software we get from Cledara.
Perfect. Another question, what could happen if IT didn't know about all the software that the company was using?
Yes. That's kind of like how long is a piece of string? The worst case scenario is obviously data leaks. And we see all the times and all the reports of, people using software that hasn't been approved, that then gets access to like sensitive data, and passwords or personal details leaked all over the internet. And that's obviously once that happens, there's kind of no real way of coming back from that. That's kind of worst case scenario. The kind of the short-term worry is that we have companies accessing our data and then utilizing it for their own gain. An example is kind of like there's some Chrome extensions that require access to your Google Drive. I can't imagine why they'd need it, but it's a permission that they've put into their Chrome extension. Google have approved it, and then if someone adds it, all of their stuff in their Google Drive, in their personal Google Drive, is open to that company. We obviously at Cledara mitigate that by we have just recently moved everything over to shared drives, and we manage all of the Chrome extensions. But if you don't really manage it, it will quite quickly snowball.
Okay. Another question, do I need to hire new people to run Cledara?
Is that for me or for Bryn?
Yes. No, it's still for you.
Probably not. I mean, it would help if you had a finance person and one other, but essentially the app does quite a lot of the stuff itself, and we can support teams from like one person up to 1,000, 2,000 people. So you don't need any extra people to run Cledara.
Yeah, I would agree. And just to tag on to that, I think the idea behind Cledara is to help save you time, among other things. So there is a little bit of implementation required to get all of these incredible features to be helpful for your team. But once you've been onboarded, which the customer success team is here to help you through that process, everything should run really smoothly. And I don't think it should require anyone else on your team.
Yeah, that's why it was a Bryn answer.
Thanks, Nikesh.
Well, I think the questions are over. I don't have any new ones. So if on your side,
one.
we got
two more.
Well, sorry, I didn't saw that. Oh, well, there are a lot of questions. Sorry. When will the new features discussed by Nikesh be available? I imagine we're talking about delegate and onboarding, offboarding, right?
Yeah. So yeah, delegate is available now to whoever has, I guess, the compliance plan. If you need more information on it, your customer support manager or customer success manager, which is one of these two, can help you, and we can send you details. We'll record this question. The on-offboarding, we're running final tests on it, and I don't know. I don't know when to put a time on it. Normally, product frown on me when I say things, so soon-ish. It's coming. I know that. I just don't know what the date is.
Okay. That's a
yeah.
perfect answer accepted by product.
Cool.
We use G Suite. What's the risk if we use Cledara?
If I reverse that question, is what does Cledara ask from Google? So all of our integrations with Google are approved and audited by Google annually. So we go through OWASP checks, cybersecurity checks, our own SOC 2 certification forms part of it. So we're audited externally by partners, and then they reapprove us on Google. The permissions we ask for depend on what integration you utilize, and we have a number of them. You can have sign-in with Google. So it's not single sign-on or SCIM. It's just using your Google credentials to sign into Cledara with a number of them. You can have sign-in with Google. So that's it.
Sorry.
I think we lost Nikesh
for a second. Okay. Maybe until he's back, continuing his answer. We can take the next question. How long does a Cledara implementation take for a medium-sized business? And he's back twice.
Hello.
I don't know what happened there. Zoom just quit.
Okay, but you're still here in the other.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe my other me will vanish. What was I talking about? Chrome.
Yes.
How long do we have? I'll be quick.
Okay, you have 1 more minute.
1 more minute. Okay. So Chrome or Google will, you can do sign in, you can do invoice capture, and you can invite your other users into Cledara. And each one has its own set of permissions that are all approved by Google. And the customer success team can send you more information about it.
Perfect. What was the Chrome extension?
Engage.
Okay.
It's just Cledara Engage on the Chrome Web Store.
Perfect. And actually, we had the last question that I was asking when you freeze. Basically, a customer asking, how long does it take for an implementation for a medium-sized business? I think, Nikesh, in that case, you're not that aware of how long.
I'm happy to hop in here. I guess I'm not sure what medium-sized business means to the person asking the question, but I would say probably anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And this might depend on your team and your availability, but the customer success team here at Cledara would work closely with you to figure out that timeline and what is best for you, and balancing other things that you have going on. But we'll work with you to make that happen.
Thank you, Bren. I think this time we don't have any other questions and we are quite on time. So thank you, both of you, and thank you all our attendees. And before the end of this webinar of today, we would like you to join us next week for our third webinar, which is the Cledara Customer Community Launch. It will happen at the same time, 5 a.m. MST. And we will send our invites during this week. So join us, and thank you for participating. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Everyone.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.